and FIFA is set to investigate the behaviour of Argentina after the final whistle at the World Cup final. Leandro Paredes was shown a red card for violent conduct after he grabbed and pushed Spanish players, including Eric Garcia and Gavi. Nahuel Molina attempted to knock over Rodri as the Manchester City midfielder celebrated winning the World Cup. And Argentina coach Roberto Ayala also appeared to try and punch Dani Olmo in the face.
For a long time, Leandro Paredes has been able to keep moving forward while controversy followed close behind. Fines came and went, heated moments became headlines, and eventually the football world moved on. But now, the situation appears much harder to brush aside.
Got to be a long ban.
Yeah.
Jeff, if you look at it, Jeff, if you watch it back 5 or 6 times, Paredes, let me say, on Garcia, he grabs his neck, and the way Garcia's after the game, Garcia's neck jolts. That's assault.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Like, it's assault.
Like you, Stuart Pearce believes that the Argentinian midfielder needs an incredibly strong punishment.
Oh.
This is no longer about an $18,000 fine that a wealthy professional footballer can simply pay and forget about. The consequences now directly affect the thing that matters most to his career, being allowed to step onto the pitch and play. And the timing could hardly be more dramatic. Paredes already had plenty of baggage attached to his name.
Paredes being a loose cannon like he is, and again, we know that could easily have been sent off. And by the way, what we saw from Paredes post-match, straight after kicking Eric Garcia, kicking Gavi, is unacceptable. I want him banned for a long time, and I like Paredes.
From the infamous throat-grabbing incident during the World Cup final to blasting the ball toward the Netherlands bench during that explosive 2022 quarterfinal. More recently, his social media activity also attracted attention while an investigation was hanging over him. But this week brought another twist. With scrutiny still surrounding him and bans already confirmed, Paredes made another move that could make an already messy situation even more complicated.
I'd go as far as to say Argentina were a complete and utter disgrace today, both with their performance and their antics. We expected the antics, we expected the thuggery, we expected the off-the-ball stuff, but we also expected a lot more on the ball. A lot more purpose, a lot more about their play. They were an utter shambles. They were disgusting, disgraceful.
Then came a moment so perfectly timed and so closely tied to the reputation Paredes has built over the years that it could potentially turn an already serious punishment into something much bigger. Every new detail adds another layer to this story. But before getting into what happened this week, we need to understand exactly where things currently stand. Because the charges themselves are more serious than they might sound at first. FIFA has formally charged Leandro Paredes with 4 separate disciplinary violations. According to the case against him, 3 are assault charges under Article 14 of FIFA's disciplinary code, while the 4th concerns unsporting behaviour.
The punishment has to be that big that no one ever does that.
It is assault. You got it absolutely right.
No matter what happens in football, you can be angry you lost, but be classy in defeat.
Yeah.
Don't like, do you know what I mean? If you want to fight Paredes, there's places to fight. Not on a pitch against a Garcia. The way he was manhandling, I think it was Gavi, 21-year-old kid, and you're throwing him around on the pitch. That's someone's son, someone's brother.
Yeah.
Disgraceful.
FIFA's prosecutor documented the alleged incidents separately, meaning they are being treated as individual actions rather than one chaotic confrontation. The first assault charge involves Paredes grabbing Eric Garcia by the neck, an action FIFA's prosecutor reportedly described as a chokehold. Garcia, 24, had been attempting to separate players during the confrontation. The second charge concerns Gavi, with Paredes accused of bringing the 21-year-old midfielder to the ground and holding him by the collar during the heated scene. Then there is the third assault charge. Paredes is accused of pushing Gavi in the face while Gavi was already on the floor. Crucially, prosecutors are treating that as a separate alleged act, rather than simply part of the previous confrontation. 3 separate alleged acts of aggression involving 2 different players, all unfolding in roughly 30 seconds. That alone makes the case serious. But FIFA's disciplinary action reportedly goes one step further, because alongside those 3 assault charges, Paredes is also facing a separate charge of unsporting behavior. That charge focuses on his broader conduct during the confrontation, not just the individual physical incidents. In other words, 4 separate charges coming out of one chaotic brawl after a single match. And this is where the numbers start getting wild. Under FIFA's disciplinary rules, an assault offense can carry a suspension of at least 3 matches, although the final punishment depends on how the disciplinary body applies the rules to the case. If each of the 3 alleged assaults receives a separate 3-match sanction, Paredes could be looking at 9 international matches from those charges alone. A further sanction for unsporting behavior could potentially push that total even higher. That makes the possible punishment far bigger than 1 red card or a routine disciplinary slap on the wrist, and the recent incidents may only be part of what officials examine. Reports surrounding the case have suggested that disciplinary authorities could consider whether there is a broader pattern of behavior involving players caught up in the confrontation. That detail matters because older footage of Paredes has started circulating again online. Since July 19, social media users have been digging through previous confrontations and sharing clips they claim show similar aggressive behavior, including incidents where Paredes appears to make contact around an opponent's neck area. Suddenly, moments that once looked like isolated flashes of temper are being placed side by side and examined under a completely different spotlight. And it wasn't just one forgotten clip suddenly dragged back into the spotlight. Fans started uncovering multiple videos from different matches, different competitions, and different stages of Paredes' career. The clips spread quickly across social media, with people comparing those older confrontations to what happened in New Jersey. One detail kept getting attention: contact around the neck area. Critics online began arguing that the alleged chokehold was not simply one random reaction in the heat of the moment, but potentially part of a wider pattern. That distinction could become important because FIFA has indicated that repetitive patterns of behavior may be examined during disciplinary proceedings. Social media is now packed with old footage, slow-motion replays, screenshots, and side-by-side comparisons. Of course, viral clips are not automatically proof of misconduct, and each incident needs its own context. But they can still draw attention to previous moments that investigators may decide are relevant. Then, the timing became even stranger. While all of this old footage was being pulled apart online, Paredes returned to action with Boca Juniors, and another incident immediately put his conduct back under the microscope. It was the kind of timing that sounds almost scripted, because just as people were debating whether New Jersey represented an isolated moment, another controversy arrived. Then came Boca Juniors against Newell's Old Boys in the Argentine Primera División, only Paredes' second competitive club appearance since returning from the World Cup. In the 69th minute, play had stopped and the ball was dead. Paredes picked it up and kicked it toward Newell's Old Boys player Facundo Goycochea during the stoppage, instantly creating another controversial moment around a player already facing heavy scrutiny. And there was an obvious reason the footage caught people's attention. Football fans immediately compared it with that infamous scene against the Netherlands at the 2022 World Cup, when Paredes smashed the ball toward the Dutch bench and sparked a furious confrontation. Different match, different circumstances, but the visual similarity was impossible for people online to ignore. Years later, with Paredes already dealing with disciplinary allegations connected to another major international incident, another dead ball situation had suddenly become part of the conversation. The referee showed Paredes a yellow card, but that booking quickly became almost secondary to the bigger debate. People were asking how, with so much attention already surrounding his conduct, he could end up involved in another incident that looked so familiar. The timing was genuinely difficult to believe. And that is where this gets especially messy. If FIFA's disciplinary process examines whether previous incidents demonstrate repetitive behavior, moments like this could attract additional scrutiny. That does not automatically mean the Boca incident proves anything about the separate FIFA charges, and disciplinary officials would need to judge every event in its proper context. But when investigators are reportedly examining patterns, another widely shared clip showing behavior fans are comparing with a previous controversy is exactly the kind of development Paredes probably did not need. And while all those older clips were already being pulled apart, compared, and replayed, Paredes seemingly added a fresh one to the conversation at the worst possible time. Investigators were reportedly examining whether his conduct showed repetition, and suddenly, another controversial moment was spreading across social media. According to BANS Sports, sources indicated that Paredes could face one of the toughest individual sanctions resulting from the tournament. If that reporting proves accurate, it suggests the final punishment could go well beyond the minimum penalties being discussed. But Paredes is only one piece of a much larger disciplinary storm surrounding Argentina. FIFA has also outlined proceedings involving the Argentine Football Association, and the scope reportedly stretches beyond incidents involving Paredes, Molina, and assistant coach Roberto Ayala. The federation itself is facing scrutiny over alleged breaches connected to multiple matches during the tournament, rather than just one explosive final. The allegations cover a wide range of conduct. They reportedly include discriminatory chants or gestures, delayed kickoffs, failures to follow match or security protocols, inappropriate messages displayed by players or supporters, and objects allegedly being thrown from spectator areas. That means FIFA's attention is not limited to what happened on the pitch between individual players. Several controversial incidents from throughout the competition have consequently returned to the spotlight, including disputed banners, alleged discriminatory chanting, incidents involving supporters, and confrontations surrounding flags and objects thrown in the stands. Some claims circulating online remain contested or require additional context, so they should not automatically be treated as established facts. But taken together, the formal allegations show why this investigation has grown far beyond one player, one fight, or one night in New Jersey. This is no longer being framed as FIFA examining one ugly night in New Jersey. The disciplinary picture now stretches across multiple matches, with allegations involving players, officials, and supporters connected to Argentina's tournament. If the AFA is ultimately found responsible for the breaches under investigation, possible sanctions could include significant financial penalties and other disciplinary measures. Any suggestion that Argentina's future hosting position could be affected would be especially sensitive given its scheduled role in the 2030 World Cup, although that would depend entirely on FIFA's findings and the rules applied. In the past, a relatively small fine might have arrived, been paid, and disappeared from the headlines within days. This situation is developing under a much brighter spotlight. FIFA and Gianni Infantino are already facing intense scrutiny over separate controversies, meaning every disciplinary decision is likely to be examined far more closely than usual. There are political arguments, media reports, public campaigns, and questions surrounding FIFA's leadership all colliding at the same time. Claims involving FIFA forward, Infantino's communications concerning Argentina, material published by the AFA, petitions demanding tougher action, and political debate in the United Kingdom have created a noisy environment around the investigation. Some of those claims remain disputed and should be treated separately from the disciplinary case itself. But politically and publicly, the stories are becoming harder to separate. Journalists scrutinizing FIFA's governance are also watching how Argentina's case is handled, while critics demanding transparency are paying close attention to what eventually happens with Paredes. A punishment that might once have passed quietly could now become another major test of FIFA's credibility. At this point, the two controversies are starting to overlap. FIFA's handling of the Argentina disciplinary case is being watched alongside the wider questions surrounding its leadership and decision-making. That puts Infantino and FIFA in an uncomfortable position. Another small fine or an investigation that ends without a meaningful sanction could bring even more criticism from people who already believe football's governing body has been too soft when major incidents occur. And then Paredes gave everyone another moment to talk about. While his conduct was already under scrutiny and older footage was being replayed across social media, he kicked a dead ball toward an opponent during a stoppage for Boca Juniors. Whatever his intention was, the timing could hardly have been worse. It immediately reminded fans of what happened against the Netherlands in 2022. That history is now being lined up almost like a timeline. In 2022, Paredes blasted the ball toward the Dutch bench during that heated World Cup quarterfinal, and was later sanctioned. Then came the 2026 World Cup final and the disciplinary allegations now hanging over him, including the incidents involving Eric Garcia and Gavi. Days later, he publicly celebrated Argentina's place in football history. Then, in only his second competitive match back with Boca Juniors, another dead ball incident involving an opponent appeared on camera. So instead of one isolated flashpoint, critics now see several controversial moments across different competitions and different years. 3 separate settings, different opponents, but behavior that people are increasingly comparing side by side. And that distinction could become crucial. If FIFA's disciplinary panel determines that any previous conduct is relevant under its rules concerning repeated offences, the consequences could become more severe. The Boca incident does not automatically prove the allegations from the World Cup, but for Paredes, another controversial clip appearing while his wider conduct is already under examination could not have arrived at a more damaging moment. For years, controversy has followed Leandro Paredes from one massive game to another. Heated confrontations, disciplinary problems, viral clips, fines, and then football simply carries on. An $18,000 punishment might sound serious to an ordinary person, but at the highest level of professional football, critics question whether something like that could ever genuinely change a player's behavior. Now the situation looks very different, because this time the spotlight is bigger, the allegations are more serious, and several separate incidents are being discussed together. That is what makes the coming decision so important. Paredes reportedly faces 4 disciplinary charges, while old footage is being shared everywhere and fans are comparing incidents across different competitions and different years. Then, right in the middle of that scrutiny, another controversial clip emerged from his return to Boca Juniors. Whether FIFA ultimately considers those previous incidents relevant will depend on its disciplinary process, but the pressure for a meaningful and transparent decision is enormous. And that leaves one huge question hanging over this entire story. How far will FIFA actually go? Will officials settle on sanctions close to the minimum available under the rules? Or could any finding of repeated misconduct result in something significantly more severe? Until the disciplinary ruling arrives, claims about an exact 10-match minimum or an even longer suspension should not be treated as confirmed. Now I want your take. Based on the incidents and allegations we've covered, what punishment would you consider fair if Paredes is found responsible? Do you think FIFA should impose a lengthy suspension, or should each incident be judged separately without allowing old controversies to influence the final decision? Drop your opinion in the comments, and if you want more football stories, investigations, controversies, and breaking updates, like this video, share it with another football fan, and subscribe to Matchio. More updates on this case are coming as the disciplinary process develops. Peace.